face off.
Hey guys. All right.
Hello.
So today I am joined by my sister Carla from Miss Kulala, Mystical Musings, and Debbie from Debbie's Witchy Vlog, right?
Yep.
All right, let me pull this back up. Here we go. All right. Um, so let me bring this up really quick. So, today we're going to be diving into a topic that touches nearly every aspect of modern life, yet many of us rarely stop to think about it, and that's data centers. So, I don't want to say we rarely think about it, but I don't think we know the extent of it.
Mhm.
So, whether you're sending an email, watching a YouTube video, scrolling social media, shopping online, storing photos, using AI, streaming music, backing up your phone, attending a Zoom meeting, checking your bank account, or using GPS, somewhere in the background, a data center is helping make that happen. So,
Mm.
as data centers continue to grow across the world, more questions are being asked. Like, what exactly are data centers? What services do they provide? Why are so many new facilities being built? What impact do they have on our environment? How do they affect local communities? What concerns are being raised about energy use, water consumption, noise, land development, and public health? And perhaps just as importantly, what role do we as everyday people play in all of this? So today we're going to be doing a broad look or taking a broad look at the digital world that we live in. We'll explore the different types of data centers, the countless ways that we rely on them every day, the environmental and community concerns surrounding them, and practical ways that we become more informed and reduce our digital footprint. We'll also discuss some modern psychological challenges that have been emerging alongside of our increasing connected world. Or increasingly connected world. These include psychosis. So, how vulnerability to psychosis can be amplified by certain environmental and social factors, and why terms such as AI psychosis and spiritual psychosis have become part of the contemporary conversations. Now, this is not a video about fear. It's not a video about blame, and it's not a video about pointing fingers at any one technology, company, community, or group people. Instead, this is a conversation about awareness, because the more that we understand the systems that we participate in, the more empowered we become. And that helps us to make informed decisions about how we engage with them. So grab a cup of coffee or tea or water or whatever, settle in, and let's explore the hidden infrastructure behind our digital world. All right. So the first thing, uh, okay, I had to get back over to the screen. Sorry.
What are
Yes,
you
I am
drinking,
using notes.
Michelle?
What?
What are you drinking, Michelle?
I'm drinking water and it's clear over here.
Good for you. Ooh, good
Yeah.
job. I do have water. I'm hydrating well. But I told myself if I made myself stay out of bed to talk to you girls, I could have a treat.
Oh,
Now, is that sweetened with stevia?
Yeah.
That why it's
mm.
stevia? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the only soda I can drink. I
Oh.
Ooh.
usually get salsa water, but I think I'm going to even decrease that. I'm
Does it
trying
make
to
you burp?
simplify. No, not much.
Oh God,
No,
may
not
not
as
have a
much as the
pop.
seltzer. Oh, yeah.
I burp like crazy, man. I do. Well, we get like the zero root beer. Like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, it's so yummy. I don't
Mm,
Yeah.
that
drink
is
pop
yummy.
very often, but oh my goodness, it's really good. And I'm just like burping like crazy
Yeah.
after I drink it. What about you, Sissy? What are you drinking?
Just water. And
Yeah.
water makes me burp. A
Right.
lot of things make me burp and other things too.
Right. We're starting this off right, right?
Right.
Yes.
Sounds like a normal chat.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, the first thing that I wanted to talk about is data centers. Like, do you guys know how many different kinds of data centers that there are?
I only know of two different ones. Like we have three little ones in the state of New Hampshire.
Mm.
And
Oh,
but we know
okay.
many big ones. So Nottingham just defeated a plan for a big one. And that's what kind of spurred me into like, all right, there's more to this AI stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's my thing is the environmental impact,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what brought me into it more than, the conversations that have been going around on the different, like I'm in the journaling community and then the tarot community, the witchcraft community. We
Right.
all have our concerns with it,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I'm shifting more toward the environmental because I'm finding out that it has really serious impacts.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
that kind of scares me. I'm going to be a grandmama pretty soon.
Ooh, that's so
Absolutely.
exciting.
I want the earth to be here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me
Yes.
too.
Let me turn these notifications off if I can. I always forget about that. Um,
So
yeah,
you have a lot of data centers, right?
we are in Michigan. We
Yeah.
have 75 data centers in Michigan. Now, I don't know how many that you have around you, sis, but I am going to be down in the description. You guys can go and check out a couple of different links of websites where you can go and find out. Now, this is only for the United States, okay?
Yeah.
I don't have any information outside, but the US
I
is a
haven't looked for
massive
any.
contributor to the data centers, even for the world, okay? So I think it said we're 50% of all of the data centers in the world. The United States is, and we're
Wow.
continue to grow.
Mm,
And there's other reasons why I think that that is too, that I probably will not be discussing here because I don't want to get, you know,
right.
Right.
Yeah, you got
Mhm.
to be careful.
right, right.
Mhm.
Even sharing the information that's, researched and stuff, they can still be growly.
But where I live, there's 8 data centers where I live. Now they're all the legacy ones, right? And one of them is actually a green one that is supposed to be helping other data centers with um,
Okay. Mm.
like storage and stuff like that. Now, the research that I've done, there also some of these companies are looking at ways to become more green. Okay. So
Good.
that is in the process also. But I want to show you a little bit of what I have as far as information on the different kinds of data centers that there are. Because this has just become part of the news now, and people think that these are all brand new and they're just popping up all over the place. These are not brand new. Okay.
No.
We've been using these.
Yeah.
Some of them that are coming are brand new. Okay. But we have the traditional enterprise data centers. So these are owned and operated by individual companies for their own use, like banks, insurance companies, hospitals, universities, government agencies. These data centers handle like customer records, financial transactions, internal databases, employee systems, medical records. And then we have cloud data centers. So these are massive facilities that are operated by companies like Amazon,
Oh,
Microsoft, and Google, like
mhm.
Google Cloud. So it's
Yeah.
for housing like all of our pictures, all of our documents, all of our stuff that we put into clouds.
Yeah.
They support websites, mobile apps, online stores, business software, streaming services. And then we have social media data centers that their primary support is social platforms. So, like Meta, TikTok, Snapchat, Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, Threads. Their job is to, and like where we are here, YouTube, photos, videos, messages, comments, user profiles, advertisements. Every upload, selfie, video, meme, or story must be stored somewhere physically in these. Then we've got the streaming data centers. So these are the data centers that support like Netflix, YouTube, Disney, Spotify. These facilities handle stuff like movies, television shows, music, podcasts, live streaming, and there's more. Um, and then there's data or AI data centers. And these are the facilities that are receiving the most attention today. because some of them that are here that we have been here since like 2010. So they've been here like 16 years, okay,
Mm.
that are here in our local area. But these data centers are uh, they support like large language models, image generation, video generation, scientific research, machine learning systems. Organizations involved include like OpenAI, Anthropic, Google DeepMind, and XAI, which I don't even know all of these. But these AI centers often contain like large clusters of specialized processors called GPUs, and they can consume enormous amounts of electricity compared with traditional servers because they perform billions or trillions of calculations. And then we have colocation data centers. I hope I said that right. These are essentially like digital apartment buildings. So other companies can come in and have this place is like rent to own, like a storage facility where
We have one
others.
where I'm at. Hmm.
Okay, that's what some of ours are around us too.
Yes. Hmm.
Other
Oh, I'm
companies can
learning
come in.
already. I didn't know there were so many kinds.
Yeah, there's different
Mhm.
kinds. And then we've
Yeah,
got an
so
edge
good.
data center. And it says these are smaller facilities that are located closer to users. So they reduce delays, they improve speed, and they support real-time applications. So probably like Zoom, like this, or something that you need quick information with, right? They also are used for like online gaming, autonomous vehicles, smart cities, video delivery, Internet of Things devices. And then we've got telecommunication data centers like cellular networks, internet providers, fiber networks, phone systems like AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile.
Oh,
Then
wow.
we've got scientific and research computing centers. So stuff that they do is like climate modeling, astronomy, physics, medical research, genome sequencing. Examples for these places are or that are operated by like NASA, National Center for Atmospheric Research, and CERN.
Yeah.
So that's just to show you the different kinds. Okay.
Hmm.
So, do you guys have any idea, like, what all these data centers control then? What are the
Everything.
services?
It's the infrastructure, it's the backbone, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So are we using it?
we're using
Every
it right
single
now.
day. Unless you're totally off grid, right?
You have to be totally off grid. Are you ordering
Totally.
any fabric? Are you making your own fabric? Do you make your own soaps? Do you, I mean, literally
Right.
completely off grid? Because if you're not, if you get anything delivered,
Right.
because let me just show you the list, and this is long, okay?
Yeah.
Let me
You'd
show you the
have to
list
go
of
back before the Industrial Revolution.
exactly, pretty much. Yes.
Any technology before that,
So all of our
the
communication, every day,
1800s,
billions of
late.
people use like email, text messaging, video calls, voice over IP calls, social media messaging, group chats, cloud phone calls, customer support chat systems. These include like Gmail, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, Telegram, Zoom, what we're using right now, right? Social
Yep.
media. Every post, like, comment, image, and video must be stored somewhere. So these examples, like we said, is Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of them, every single social media platform. Streaming entertainment. So streaming like any videos like YouTube, Netflix, Disney, Hulu, Amazon Prime Video, music, Spotify, Apple, Pandora, podcast hosting platforms, podcast streaming apps, audio distribution networks. It goes on and on and on. Online shopping, bank. I'm not going to go into any more detail, just say what they are, uh, because the list is long. And
I bet.
how it's infiltrated. It's online shopping, it's banking and finance, it's healthcare, and it's in every aspect of all these things. Transportation, like GPS in your cars, Flight tracking for flights, airlines, traffic monitoring, public transformation systems, transportation, I mean, government services, taxes, social security, motor vehicle records, voting, public records, court systems, emergency communication systems, our education system, right? Online learning, student records, research databases, video lectures, cloud storage, testing, cloud storage, we've already talked about that. Gaming. Tons of people are gamers. That's all part of it too. Smart home technology, thermostats, cameras, smart TVs, voice assistants. When you start thinking about all these different things, right, that you take for granted, that you don't even think of, but it's all part of what goes into these data centers.
Mm-hmm.
Scientific research, so climate modeling, weather forecasting, astronomy, genetic, I've talked about that, business operations, payroll, human resources, accounting. So whatever job that you're at,
Yeah.
payroll, human resources, accounting, customer database, websites, inventory systems, marketing, security and surveillance. We've got shipping and oh my goodness, it is everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. Do you guys want to add anything to that? Where you,
Which is like it's great if it works seamlessly, but what about when it doesn't, right? What is that going to impact everything?
so what do you
The
mean when it works seamlessly and when it doesn't? What do you mean?
So, say the AI. So, did were you in the conversation? I can't remember who I was talking to. And I can't remember which store, but one of the stores is switching to AI tags. So it will make it easier for their workers not to have to physically go and change the tags,
Right.
which I mean, that's wonderful, right? But what if they start pricing it like gas? The gas stations have to see what the rate is every day, and then they calculate the price. What if it goes into that? What if
Where
eggs,
they can
like,
change it by the time that you are at
right,
buying it and to the time you get to the checkout, you mean, right?
right, right. I was so excited last week to find gluten-free Cheez-Its, brand name. This week I went to buy them. They were $10 a box.
Oh my
I
God.
am so glad I looked. I wouldn't, I didn't buy them, obviously.
Did it
But like,
change the
that's a
price? It had
bad
one of those
scenario.
things?
No, no, I think this is more like a supply issue
Oh,
for
right.
Walmart. But
I love sriracha, and I remember when they had problems with the sriracha plants, a couple of them burnt down, and like one bottle of sriracha was like 25 bucks. I'm like, I'm dying without my
I
sriracha.
know. Oh my
I put
gosh.
it on
But
everything.
see how we're conditioned for the convenience of
Uh-huh.
just assuming everything's going to be there ready when we want it.
Mhm.
Well, speaking of that, the colocation data center that you were speaking of, like the
Mhm.
rent a spot type thing,
Yes.
they put a smart park next to us. It's been a few years ago, but I remember when they were building it, and everyone was like, "Ooh, what's this?" And I remember seeing the lights, the LED lights that were on 24/7. And I'm thinking, "Wow, what is this?" And then I started learning about the smart park, and but they weren't very open with there being a data center in there. But now you can go to datacenters.com and you can find where these data centers are. And I found that there is a data center in there. But there is one thing that I noticed, and it's the electric company, our
Mhm.
electric company that owns this. Okay. So
Mhm.
I also found that, a few years back, that we got letters saying that the price of the kilowatt was going to go up 3 times what it was. And they were kind of letting us know that it was just to help pay for the smart park. And then, here we are 3 years later and everything is like 10 times that. But
Oh.
one thing I did notice is that they have like a whole field. I'm not sure how many acres it is of solar panels. And
Oh.
then Bob was like, "Yeah, and you notice they got uh, lambs or sheep or whatever in there, and they're grazing." So I mean, I don't know enough to say if that's something they're doing to help power it, or what the solar park is, or the solar panel. I mean, it's a whole field of it. I should take a picture of one of these times and put it on my community post so you can see. I thought that at least was awesome, but I don't know if maybe that's something, because they pride themselves on doing in a, to help the environment, right?
Mhm.
To counteract, it's like everything they want it green. But then you find out there's a data center, and then my mind was just going, oh boy, what? So I am appreciative of learning more about this more than anything, just for my
Mhm.
own awareness, just to know, but
Right.
I do think, hopefully by the end of this, maybe there is information that we can get, that maybe we can push our communities to help these data centers not deplete the land, if that's something that we can, maybe come together with that. And I think those are the important talks that I definitely want to be a part of. So yeah.
I agree. I wanted to start this off by showing how much it's not just about what people think of what AI is. AI is
Right.
infiltrated in everything now. It's not an easy answer. People
Mhm.
need to have discussions like this.
Mhm.
Okay. And we're going to be talking about other things like the environmental impacts. We're going
Mhm.
to be talking about how it really looks for people health wise, because it is causing health issues for people too, if they live close enough.
Yep. People have to move out of their homes because of it.
Yeah. This is, I mean, Michigan has 75 data centers, 75. And they're looking to expand even more because we have all the Great Lakes around us.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. And so knowing what the data centers are for,
Exactly.
yeah, I think
Knowing
is
what we're,
extremely important, because again, that's how we're going to know what part we're actually playing in this,
Right.
yes,
What to use and what not to use, or
if
what,
we
what
can.
to cut down on. Right.
yes.
Right. Like during the day, I'm out on my phone or the computer a lot. And then at night, Bob and I sit down and watch, Netflix or something. So it's like an all day thing,
Yes, it
Yes.
you
is.
know? So I've been trying to
Yes.
do more analog stuff like gardening and reading and
Mhm.
Yes. Oh gosh.
playing with my tarot.
And it
Yeah,
feels good to
definitely.
be able to disconnect, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But
Oh,
literally,
it's
that's what you
very
have to do is
freeing to the
disconnect.
mind.
Yeah.
This, yeah. Because I don't know about you, but I collectively mush all of our world troubles together
Mm.
and try to sort them out, and it's not working.
Yeah. No, 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 no. And that is also part of this conversation here is psychosis. We'll get into that in a little bit. But people think that AI is causing this psychosis. There's so many things in our world, in our modern world, that actually
Yeah.
causes psychosis. Okay.
So many things to worry about.
Right. AI is just the newest thing.
Yeah, right.
And I think that we are predispositioned, but there are certain things that also can exaggerate
Mm. Oh, yeah.
exaggerate it, that we do, that we choose to do, right?
Right.
We'll get
Yep.
into that. So let's take a look at oh, before I go any further, Debbie had a whole bunch of videos that she sent me. I haven't had time to watch them. I am going to be putting those all in the description, plus a bunch of links for people. I don't, Debbie, do you want to tell us what all that information was really quick?
Basically, the first rabbit hole I went down was the environmental impacts, and there's a little bit of health in there. There was a sound study, but
Oh,
it's all non-audible, but you can feel it and you can see it in the windows or the top of the
mhm.
water on the desk type of thing, and why that's, all those sound bombardments are
Noise
making people
pollution.
sick. Yeah. And so I haven't done much else with it. I went into a little more of the cognitive results from, what they think it's going to do to the kids in schools. And
And that's
That's
a big
really
one
the
for you,
only
right?
thing.
Because you've been a teacher and a teacher's helper. So these are
Yeah,
important things for you. I mean, they are
right. Yeah,
important for me too, but I just mean this is
right.
something
They're
that
our future.
really, yeah, yeah, they're our
That's
future.
right. Literally. Yeah, and Bob's been tracking the AI assisted driving trucks forever. 10 years, 12 years now. That's scary. There's so many parts of it that are scary.
Well, that's another thing that
So
people
I got
I
to be
don't think
careful not to
realize.
go on the,
Oh,
you know,
right, a tangent. That's another thing I don't think people realize. Uh, Other things that pull on our electricity is like electric cars.
hmm,
Um, uh, what was the other thing? Cryptocurrency. That's a huge one. Is
right.
cryptocurrency?
Yeah, mining, data mining centers or something.
Yes. And the major part of these AI data centers that are coming in, it's not like it's not like me making a deck or generating. That's not like the major pull on it. The major pull is these learning centers. Okay. They are just pulling in massive, massive, massive amounts of information in order for the AI to learn. I mean, I've
Oh,
watched some
yes.
videos
I did watch that.
lately. I've watched some videos,
I watched a couple of them.
and I thought that it was a pretty good conversation, but it was very apparent right out of the gate that some of these people that were talking about, um, like using it and you shouldn't use it for like your witchcraft or whatever, clearly they have no experience with it. Okay. And I think that is for somebody that has used it. Now, if you want to, this is just my opinion, talk about it, then you should know what you're talking about. Okay. Actually use it and see, because if you used it, a year ago, it's way different than it was a year ago. It continues to update because AI continues to learn.
Right. Well,
So,
that's why I wanted to join in this discussion because without the information, like
right,
how are you supposed to make a
informed
decision for
decision.
A
yourself?
conscious decision.
Yeah,
Right.
an informed decision.
Like what matters to me might not matter to anybody else. Like I'm not an
Exactly.
artist,
Right.
right? So that does not impact me as much as being
Hmm.
able to drink a glass of water, in three
Well,
years. Or, you
I
know
would
what I
hope
mean?
everybody
Like,
impacts everybody.
well, yeah, but I mean,
Yes, I
you
know
know
what
what I
you're
mean?
saying. Yes.
Yeah,
It's just
and
We
different
all
things
want
I
one
worry
glass of
about.
water.
just our
Not that it's not important, it is, but I
Yeah.
think we need to find our own why.
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. Instead of right worrying about what someone else's why is,
Yeah.
because we are the ones that have to go to sleep at night, knowing
Exactly.
that if we're consciously using it or not, if
Mm.
we want to make a difference, in my opinion, being
We need to
consciously
know.
more aware of what it is going to help us make those better decisions for ourselves.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
and just knowing, I wanted to add this real quick, just knowing that the things that we do rely on every day is enough for the United States to feel like it's that necessary to have these data centers. Because again, if we don't have the power to run something, we just don't have it, right? I mean, you don't, if it's run by any type of power, if you don't have the battery for it, you're not going to have it. So I feel
Mm-mm.
like there's a desperation there. And I think that desperation just comes from the things, again, because we're not realizing what it is that we are using,
Mm.
knowing that it's been embedded into our infrastructure. That is, if they were to take it all away, we'd definitely realize it then.
Oh, yeah. We would be
So,
living in the
It
Stone
would take
Ages
a
again if we did
while.
not have
Yeah.
data centers. I'm telling you.
It
right.
would take
So
a
it's
while
like,
to get used to it.
I can almost understand why they are being a little bit kind of sneaky about trying to fit them in there without telling us, because again, people are in an uproar to not have them. But then I understand I don't want one.
Right.
I
Yes.
know.
So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
don't want one in
again,
my
that's why
neighborhood.
I'm here. I think it's so important to learn as much as we can. That's
For us
just my
to educate
opinion.
ourselves about the topic, right? And all aspects of that topic.
Yes. Yes.
We're not here to point fingers, like we said. We are here to learn as much as we can and then be a proactive without totally like, listen, this is my job is creating. Does that mean
Mhm.
I'm going to stop using AI? No, I'm not going to stop using AI.
Probably not.
Probably
I'm
not.
not either. I mean, literally have to give up Facebook, my YouTube channel that I've
Right.
worked over 11 years now
Our
on,
phone
Video games,
the phone, right?
emailing,
Yeah, any
banking.
form of entertainment or communication
or
at this point,
communication.
right?
You know, the difference between even, and this wasn't something I was going to go into, but just roughly, because we are on YouTube and we were addressing this because of some of the comments that have been made, okay? And we felt
Right.
the need to educate. But do you know a video that does, let's say, 15,000 views? Okay. That's more of an environmental impact than one whole tarot deck that's created using AI technology. Yeah. Or live streaming takes
I
more
mean,
than what it
nothing
does to use generative AI on one tarot deck because you're doing it that one time and
One
then
time.
everything else
right,
is no different than any other tarot deck that's created, right?
right, where
I don't
that
even
video
store my
could
stuff in
get
a cloud. So,
reviewed,
right.
right?
So that is much more impact. So if we
Mhm.
want to talk about really learning how we are impacting it, let's be honest about these things.
Gotta
Right.
be.
I'm not saying I'm an angel. I use these services. I mean, we're using
We
this
all
service
are.
right now.
We're either going to go or
That's
Right.
we're going to educate ourselves as much as we can. And you know, that's the thing. You really got to look because they're
gotta
not
dig.
being very forthcoming with this information, you know?
And I want to say that that's not in all situations either. And
Right.
what I have read also is that many of them that are understanding the impacts, they are trying to go greener, but
Yes.
there are also definite benefits to these data centers as well with trying to learn how to um, conserve our water better. And AI is going to be a good solution for many things as well. This is
Oh,
not a gang up on
medical.
AI, but it's not an easy discussion because we
No,
all
it's
use
just
it,
gonna
but
come with a cost, just like everything
exactly.
else, you know?
Yes.
So
All
now we
right.
gotta look for solutions.
Well, let's look at some of the things that it's showing that the problems are. So, energy consumption, that's a big one. It says data centers operate 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Servers, networking equipment, security systems, and cooling systems all require power. AI data centers are especially energy intensive because training and running large AI models require thousands of specialized processors working simultaneously. So, globally, data centers now consume a significant percentage of the world's electricity, and demand is rising rapidly as AI expands. So, and it contributes to a whole bunch of stuff we've already talked about. But that means our our energy, our electricity, right? And that, depending on what kind of power company that you have, if it's powered by coal, then that's going to create a whole lot of pollution. If it's different, like solar, I don't know exactly if there's any ill effects to that. I don't know. I know that
Batteries,
there are wind, right? There's side effects to that.
yeah, but then you have problems with that sound reverberation again.
Right.
Again, they launch these
Placement.
things and they don't know the effects.
Right. So placement is
Right.
important.
Yeah.
Water usage, and this is one of the fastest growing concerns, is the water usage. Many large facilities use water-based cooling systems, and a
Mhm.
single large AI data center may use millions of gallons of water per year to help keep equipment cool. Water is often evaporated during cooling processes and cannot always be recovered. So, This does become a major problem in certain areas, drone-prone regions, desert areas, communities already experiencing water shortages, and we are seeing that. That video that you showed us yesterday, Debbie, was showing how, like, over in Arizona and stuff, how it's really affecting these communities because these communities were already suffering to begin with.
Right. Well, we have an El Nino coming out too. I think it's this year or next, maybe between the two, which is going to make the areas even more hot,
Yeah.
right? Some areas more hot, some areas weird rain. It's just going to interrupt those patterns even more. So we're going to see it the next couple of years, I think, with those heat islands and stuff.
Now it
We'll
does,
notice some of
sorry,
the effects more.
yeah. Now, it does say that some companies are shifting towards like recycled water, treated wastewater, closed loop cooling system. So it doesn't keep on using more and more, more. It just
Right.
uses what water that they have and just keeps reusing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And air cooling technologies. And if it's the air cooling technologies versus the water, then that's maybe has to do with like more electricity. So how is that
Mhm.
run? Is it run by solar power
Right.
or is it run by coal? And these are all going to be issues that are beyond just like AI itself. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Heat production. Every computer creates heat. A large data center is essentially a massive collection of computers operating continuously, so that heat must go somewhere. Some
Mhm.
impacts include increased local temperatures around facilities, additional electricity required for cooling, and waste heat released into the environment. But um, some of these companies are being innovative now, and they are taking that heat and using it in order to help heat homes, heat schools, greenhouses, and district heating systems. So that's good.
Mhm.
Maybe we should learn to implement more of that, right?
Mhm.
Right. That would be
Yeah.
amazing,
Yeah.
Yes.
especially
We
with the rising get like home heating oil and stuff. Yeah, that would be amazing.
exactly. So I think because it's so new and it's growing so fast, as these things are arising, I hope that they're also trying to come up with solutions for these
I
Yeah.
things
hope
as
so.
well.
I hope so. Yeah.
I
Me
think
too.
unfortunately we get so much like negative fear mongering that gets put out without solutions that are also being shown unless you're looking for them. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Because
Right.
I mean, our news, don't even get me started on
Yeah,
that,
no.
right? So another thing is
I watch
resource.
Tony's news.
You watch Tony's news. Um, So data centers require enormous amounts of physical hardware. So that is copper and gold, silver, aluminum, lithium, cobalt, rare earth minerals. So that means increasing mining for these certain things, and it's killing habitats, water pollution, carbon emissions, social and labor concerns. So that impact begins long before a server is ever even installed. So we need to think about that as well.
Mhm.
Right.
Then we've got electronic waste. So the technology as it ages and gets replaced, and this is something that is a continual upgrade. Where does that waste go? And those things, if they're not properly
Absolutely.
recycled, that's stuff like lead and mercury and cadmium and any other toxic substances. So we've heard like stories throughout history of different companies that have gotten in trouble for the way that they're getting rid of their waste and it's poisoning like
Frozen.
whole places.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
another issue we have to worry about,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So then we've got land use and habitat changes. So large data centers require more land, roads, substations, transmission lines, water infrastructure. This construction can affect farmland, forest, wetlands, and wildlife habitats. So that's yet something else that we need.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's,
location
yeah,
is so
the
important.
farmland is diminishing anyway.
Yep.
Like,
Absolutely.
what do you do if you can't eat?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
I
the
don't know.
degree of impact,
Play on my phone at least, right?
I
yeah,
know. Well, that's
I'll look
it.
at food.
Right. We
yeah,
got to balance it somehow.
exactly. The degree of impact, it definitely depends heavily on the location. And building on previously developed industrial places, that's where they should do it already,
Right.
unless they
Yeah.
found that these places were no good, you know? And then we've got carbon emissions. So the climate impact depends largely on the electricity source. So a data center powered primarily by coal, oil, and natural gas will have a much larger carbon footprint than one that's powered by solar, wind, hydroelectric, geothermal, or nuclear energy. So then we have to look into that. And I'm no expert in any of these things. Okay. I don't know. I don't know. That's for the experts to figure out. Okay. Um,
Right.
but it does say many major technology companies have committed to using more renewable energy, but progress varies by region. So this is also part of what we're going to be talking about later in this is what can we do? You know, on our end, what can we do in order to push these things along?
Right.
So why they say that AI data centers are different is because traditional data centers mostly store and deliver information. AI facilities often perform massive computational tasks. An AI server cluster may use far more electricity than any traditional web hosting because it is constantly performing calculations rather than simply storing files. So, this is another reason why the AI has brought renewed attention to the data center growth worldwide. Because, like I said, this is nothing new. These have been coming up for probably 20 plus years, maybe more than
Yeah.
that. I don't know. But it's now the expansion of these AI. But again, we go back to what is AI really controlling now? It's in our infrastructure, it's controlling everything. So,
Yep.
what do we
And
do?
I was just, you everybody knows I do wear a tinfoil hat all the time,
No,
but I know, right? So it's like my mind went to where's the desperation come from? And then my research took me to that a lot of this is also the reason that it is the infrastructure, the backbone of it is because you know, there's a national security risk always, right? From foreign
yes,
entities all the time. And so they are listening and they're doing it intentionally and they are very desperate about listening. So, I mean, they are okay with us always having our phone on, always having the TV on. If you ever watched that movie, I think it was called The Eye or something like that, Eagle Eye or
eagle
something like
eye,
that.
yes,
Yeah. Okay. So that right there,
with
that
That sounds familiar. Who is
that's
it?
some real stuff,
Shia LaBeouf, or
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shia,
yeah,
he was
Oh,
in
I
it,
love him.
and
yep.
Moynihan.
And it
He's
was a
so
really good
cute.
movie, but I mean, so Homeland Security is always going to be that's very important. So you can't tell someone whose mission in life is that well, no, sorry, can't have it. Well, they've been investing in it for a very long time, so
Right.
that that right there alone tells me something. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That
Yes.
unfortunately that's and the generative AI is a big part of that because again it's they embedded it 6 months ago into a lot of our major platforms on purpose. Knowing what those are and knowing if you can actually shut things off would be important, but inevitably it's still
Mhm.
in the back end of it, so you're not going to get away from it. Even the platforms that do say that, inevitably it's still going to be in the back end. You're still going to be
Mhm.
using it, so we can
Right.
make better choices. I would say
Yes.
that being on YouTube wouldn't be one of those best choices because it's all over that.
Mm, we'll
But
get into
I
that.
did I did find things that you can
It
shut
was in
off.
Facebook. Oh,
I
yeah.
I did find things that you can shut off every time you upload a video. So,
Yes. We'll
mhm,
get into that.
mhm.
What are the potential benefits?
Oh,
So data
productivity.
centers, I'm sorry, what, honey?
Productivity.
I mean, definitely that, okay?
Yeah.
Data centers also support remote work, so less commuting back and forth, which means less pollution from cars and transportation, telemedicine. So again, less traveling, right? More efficiency. More people can be seen because you don't have to go to location, whatever. Digital education, so people that homeschool their children or go to online college or whatever, scientific research, weather forecasting, energy grid optimization, environmental monitoring, disaster prediction. AI itself is increasingly being used to improve energy efficiency, optimize water use, model climate systems, and accelerate clean energy research. So the bigger picture is one of the most important things to understand is that these data centers are not growing solely because of AI. Every time we watch Netflix, stream YouTube, use social media, back up photos to the cloud, play online games, use GPS, shop online, store emails, use smart devices, we are using data center resources. Okay. um,
Or anything that tracks you in real time. Really.
Anything in the digital world anymore.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
steps is my steps connected to it.
Yes, of course.
I don't even know what I use, but yeah, it tracks all my steps.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about the health impacts. So air pollution from power generation. So many large data centers consume enormous amounts of electricity. If that electricity comes from coal, natural gas, or diesel backup generators, nearby communities may experience increased air pollution. The potential health concerns are asthma, chronic bronchitis, respiratory irritation, increased cardiovascular disease risk, higher rates of hospitalization for vulnerable populations, which is children, the elderly, and people with any kind of existing lung conditions, okay, are easily affected or can be affected by this. It depends on where it is, what they're using, yada, yada, yada. Diesel backup generators. So virtually every major center has emergency backup generators. So during power outages or testing periods, these generators may emit like fine particle matter, nitrogen oxide, carbon monoxide, volatile organic compounds. Long-term exposure to elevated particulate pollution has been linked to like heart disease, stroke, lung disease, increased mortality risk. Then we get into the noise pollution. Now, I know that in private chats, we talked about this several times. I would wake up like at 3 o'clock in the morning and I would hear this low hum and I would say, where is it coming from? It's like it's a constant thing and I hear it all the time, right?
You can
Where's
almost
this
feel
coming
it more
from?
than hear it, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's like in your body, right? It's
Yep.
and it's frequency. So it's
Mm.
going through, it's vibration, it's going through your body. But so do many other things like microwave
Right.
ovens and 5G towers, all kinds of stuff. Okay.
Right?
But um
Tinfoil.
they don't realize about the noisy large data centers can be, how noisy they can be. And that video also that you showed like really woke that up for me because I'm like, oh, that's what I heard. Because he was talking about how it's
Right.
even different from the summertime to the wintertime, right?
Right.
Wintertime is
Yeah,
like,
based
ooh,
on
ooh.
ground freezing and what's happening in the weather, and
Yup,
I
exactly.
you don't think about how sound affects the human body,
Right.
you know.
And this noise can cause, the sources are like massive cooling fans, chillers, HVAC systems, and backup generators. And what this people that are living near these facilities, it can cause like stress and sleep disruption, headaches, difficulty concentrating. Uh, Essentially, like when you're a new mom and you're hardly getting any kind of sleep at all, and it's so interrupted, you're like operating on zero. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Yep.
imagine that to people that it's
Autopilot.
forever because of the noise pollution. They can't get good rest. Imagine trying to live your life with any kind of quality and never being able to get rest.
That would be awful.
That affects literally everything in your body, right?
Yep.
Every function.
Yep.
So, um,
Yeah, it must mess with the circadian rhythm.
oh
'Cause
yes.
that's definitely a rhythm, right?
Yeah. So then we've
Hmm.
got the water usage concern. So many AI and cloud data centers use large amounts of water for cooling. When these facilities are built in water-stressed regions, communities may experience competition for local water resources, rising water costs, pressure on municipal systems. Indirect health effects can rise if drought conditions worsen or local water availability decreases, or if it like pollutes your water. I don't know if that's possible. Yeah, you were saying earlier.
Yeah, I don't remember what video it was in. I think it's in one of the linked ones that will be in the description. But it was of some woman, I think in Virginia. She had a mason jar filled with like muddy looking water. It was disgusting. And that was just what came out of her faucet. Like
Wow.
she was complaining about how she had to change her water filters all the time.
Oh my goodness.
So,
Yeah, and I guess, well, according to an article that I found from a website, ChinaUSFocus.com, there was an article about how China is trying to go green with the data
Mhm.
centers. And Shanghai actually had the first underground data center. So, I mean, or not underground, underwater.
oh wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's fairly new and they don't know what that's going to do yet. But I mean,
At
that would
least they're
raise,
testing it.
they are. They are. That's their goal, I guess.
Right. To see
And
what
it,
impact it has on the wildlife and stuff. Water temperature too. That's something
yeah.
else we need to be concerned with.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's already an
But here's
issue.
the thing. Listen, so when you look over like at Dubai, and I'm just using this as an example, but I see how they create like whole islands, or they create like walls around certain areas. Why can't there be a wall, even if it is in the ocean, that like
Oh,
closes
they
off a
keep like
certain
the well.
area,
Right. To
and they
protect.
continue to use the same water within that? I mean, like I said, I'm no expert. But what if that is
Right.
something that they could do? You know what I mean?
Right. Like have a filtering process that filters it back in clean.
Right.
Or it might not even have to be clean. It's just used for cooling.
Right. Right. It's just keeping it
It's not
right.
drinking. You're not drinking the water.
Right.
That's why it
Right.
says you can use like gray water, you could use sewage water if you want. You don't have to take our clean water. That's the whole thing. There I'm hoping that there are going to be answers and solutions because that might be easier than telling people that they can't use their smartphones anymore, that they can't, drive their vehicle that's got smart stuff. You can't take a local bus. You can,
Yep.
people are used to
Well,
this.
they're gonna roll out AI chips in the cars.
Mhm.
That was again another video that I watched.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Self-driving vehicles.
oh, I've already seen one of the tractor trailers.
Yeah.
Have
Oh, yeah. They
you?
have those in tractors now.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. Those are
Mhm.
scary. It's like, I don't know if I want to pull ahead of this guy.
I
Like,
know, right? No, that's scary. Who knows what that AI is going to do?
I
Did you
know.
just cut me off? Watch
Oh my
this. No.
God.
What if they got road rage like Carla?
Right. But think about the implications if the AI is in the cars. Like if somebody
Mhm.
steals your car, they'll just be able to shut it off,
That's
right?
true. Less
Mhm.
theft, right?
Catch that guy's easier. I mean, there
Yep.
are some benefits, but we got to manage the bad parts better, I
The
think.
environmental impact, because
And the health
we're
impact.
right, because there's going to come a point without us, without the awareness, because we keep using it without the awareness, that the environment is going to fail us, right?
Right.
Right. Yeah, and it won't probably take too long either with all of the data centers planned.
So the other health things are like heat generation. We talked about the heat and what that does in certain areas. It creates like what is called a urban heat island. So these higher temperatures can increase like heat related illnesses, cardiovascular stress, risk for elderly populations, and energy costs for surrounding communities. So you take into consideration, and I don't mean to throw you in here, Tony, but Tony is one of the ladies that we talk to quite a lot, and she's in the UK. And the heat, when it was so high, it was like just like horrible for her, right? And
Yeah.
because they do not have like cooling systems over there, they don't have like air conditioning. So she had to experience it everywhere she went. Now, you imagine that for people that are already elderly or are not in good health. And
Hmm.
you imagine these data centers going into places like that where it increases, continues to increase, and they have no way to cool down. That
Right.
can create a lot of problems, health problems for a
Right.
large part of the population.
I
Right.
did a little research. They have 500 to 550 active data centers in the UK, making it the largest data center market in Western Europe.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Wow.
I did not know that.
I didn't.
It's everywhere.
it's everywhere, right?
Yeah, and it's in so much more than I thought.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm
yeah.
kind of glad we started the whole discussion on this because I wouldn't have known the
That's,
impacts. And it's so much more than I thought.
Mhm.
mhm.
You
Yep.
Then we take a look at the mental health and community stress that it's causing. Some communities are experiencing things like increased industrialization, which changes the rural landscape. The utility costs are increased. So if it's even like a low income area, or even medium, if I can speak properly, even that's being squished in the United States.
Yeah,
So I can't speak for other places, but these rising costs affect people's livelihood, you know, water consumption concerns, environmental uncertainty. This can cause chronic stress. And we know that stress can pretty much do anything to the body. Also, it causes anxiety, community conflict, people fighting, bickering, you know. We're seeing that in our community. It's
Yeah.
causing
yeah,
problems.
right.
Yeah.
Then we've got construction related health effects. Building a hyperscale data center can take years. So during construction, you have dust exposure, you have heavy truck traffic, increased accident risk, you have more noise, temporary air quality. Because, see, we do have air pollution, or I mean, air noise pollution. It's just people notice it more in the evening when they're trying to sleep by the data centers because we have it all day, every day with traffic, with music, other neighbors, dogs barking. We have this. It's just when you're
Right.
trying to sleep, and these centers are working 24/7.
Yeah.
So construction, usually those people have to go home. Like legally
Mhm.
here, you have up until like I think 8 p.m. and it has to stop. You're not allowed to do any construction after like 8 p.m. or something. It could be earlier than that. I
Oh,
don't know.
wow.
Yes.
That's good.
But that could be different wherever you live. I don't know. It might be a
Right.
local ordinance or something.
Right.
So that's something to consider. And then radiation for the data centers. They say this is a common concern. The servers themselves do not produce ionizing radiation like nuclear materials or X-ray machines. Data centers do emit electromagnetic fields, so EMFs, radio frequency
Oh,
signals from networking equipment.
okay.
However, current scientific evidence has not established that the EMF levels typically found outside data centers cause illness in humans. Most public health discussions focus instead on like air pollution, noise, water usage, energy generation, and heat. So
Mm.
just to keep that in mind.
I wonder what the comparison is between the phone up to your ear, right, with the
Oh,
5G and living around a data center. I wonder what the exposure rate is.
yeah, I don't know. Or like
This-
using a
These
microwave.
are the things I think about at like 2 o'clock in the morning when I can't sleep.
Do
Well,
you sleep with your devices next to you?
a microwave, they say it's
Mine runs
only
all night.
harmful if it's leaking. You know what I mean? If there's cracks and then, but so it's contained, right?
I don't know. There's other ones that have said that no, you should stand away from your microwave even when it's running. You don't want to be up close because of uh, microwaves, microwaves, or whatever it is.
Huh.
And if you've ever tried, because I have, I don't even know where they are. I've got organite, right? That's supposed to help disrupt like the electromagnetic fields.
Right. Okay.
I had never heard of that.
Oh,
What is it though? Is it a
It's a
stone?
bunch of material
I
that
do have some of that. Yeah.
combined. It's supposed to help block EMF, um,
Hmm.
electromagnetic. So it's good. So it's supposed to help people from like 5G,
Okay.
and if you live close to one of these things.
Mm.
They've had bigger ones that you can put out in the yard. Now, when I got these, there was talk about like
My
the
kids would give me so much shit.
do what
My kids would give me so much shit.
about that stuff. And oh,
Yeah.
about like chemtrails, and people have talked about making these on a big scale and putting them like in the four corners of your property and watching that the chemtrail stuff doesn't like cover your skies like it does everyone else's around you and shit. Have
It's
you
kind of the
heard
Oh
same
my
reason we wear our
gosh.
tinfoil hat.
right?
Jesus, don't get me into anything else.
So you can wear, I've got a pendant somewhere, I'd have to find it, but you wear
Oh,
it
I want one.
and it helps you. Just look it up, organite. But it's
I'm gonna.
actual stuff that's supposed to help protect you from like radio
Okay.
waves and electromagnetic. But Shungite does that too, right?
Oh, that's
That.
awesome. Yeah.
Yes. No,
Oh,
this
oh shit. Maybe I don't have it. Oh, maybe it's upstairs.
Hmm.
I thought
so,
that was Shanghai.
maybe they're different kinds. I don't know.
No, I probably just am remembering it wrong. That's 90% of what happened.
I don't know.
I
I'm taking both your words for it because I don't know.
I think I need something for my brain waves during menopause, right?
Oh, yeah. That would be nice.
Yes. All right. So the next thing that I want to talk about was ways that we can actually lower um, some of the ways that we can help lower the need for data, I can even speak, for data centers to grow. So keep devices longer. Manufacturing electronics creates a huge amount of data demand indirectly. When people replace phones, tablets, laptops, smart TVs, and smartwatches every year or two, it drives more cloud backups, more software updates, more digital services, and more manufacturing infrastructure. So keeping a phone for 5 to 7 years instead of 2 to 3 years can help reduce demand across the entire digital ecosystem. I didn't know that. Um, Reduce unnecessary cloud storage. So this is something that I do. It's just more or less telling you a lot of times, especially if you have like shared devices, which I do. So
Mhm.
this is a Mac that I'm on right now, and then I've got my iPad and I've got my iPhone over here and my cloud. When I do something on one of them, it will feed to the other ones via cloud, right?
Mine does too. Yep.
So when you delete it, and it has an option to delete it on all of your devices, it never does it. It never deletes them. So make
Right.
sure that when you are deleting your data, that you go onto each individual device and delete it. Get rid of duplicates. If you have an iCloud, which I have an iCloud, go in there after you, because I transfer like videos if I'll make it on my phone and
Yep.
then transfer it over to my iCloud so that I can download it on my computer and edit it and stuff,
Mhm.
right? And then upload
Mhm.
it to YouTube because it's faster because I'm wired, I'm not wireless. This is
Right.
wireless. I know it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But that means that in order to do that, I put it in the cloud. And then sometimes if you forget, and then your cloud keeps on getting bigger and bigger and bigger with stuff that you don't need. So get
Right.
rid of those files. Keep your
Yep.
files clean as possible, especially your iCloud storage. Now,
Hmm.
I don't keep like the videos anymore, but
No,
I
I don't
used
even.
to. But I always kept them right on my actual computer.
Oh, your
That way,
device.
if I needed to, I could upload it again. I don't
Oh,
do that
that's good.
anymore. I just
I
figure,
did the same
heck with it.
thing.
If something happens and it gets taken out, I'll just make another damn video. You
Yeah,
know?
gonna have to. Yeah.
Right. But so that is one of the ways is keep
I,
your um, photos. Many people have, and this is crazy to me, like 50,000 to 100,000 photos.
I know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't.
I
I don't have
I
nearly that
pay for
many
Google
photos.
storage, and I've hit max quite a few times with the videos.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I had to delete like
Yeah,
B-roll and stuff you want to stick on the end of a video or something.
right.
Yeah, I had
Yeah,
to
I
delete
put
all
a
that.
lot of stuff into my Dropbox, so that makes sense. I have a
Yep.
lot too. Yep.
But does
Duplicate videos.
Dropbox Dropbox is a separate, is that AI or is that just storage though?
It's
But
still
it still
stored. It's
uses
still,
the
yeah,
same
it's,
thing.
mm-hmm.
It
And
does
it
use it.
probably is AI now,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the storage itself means that that's more storage that is used in a cloud that
Right.
is housed in a data center.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, you know,
Yeah.
um,
So just keeping your files clean.
keeping your files cleaned up. Yeah, getting rid of any of that, deleting duplicates, downloading important archives locally, removing unused cloud accounts, cleaning your email storage. So, like for instance, Gmail. If you get a whole bunch of Gmail, now see, I was taught old school. My mom says you keep paper trails of everything. Okay. So I keep
Mm-hmm.
paper trails of everything that's important. So I have so many email files or folders that after I've used it, if it was important, like customer or something like that, it goes right into a certain file and keep it. That's worse because again, it takes up more.
Well, you could put
You
stuff
have to
like they used to
determine
have
what
a
is
hard
really important
drive
and what's not.
or a flash drive.
Thumb drive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flash or
Yes,
thumb. Yeah.
that's a good idea.
Yeah. That would be
That's a
good.
good idea. Now, even if you do watch like streaming things,
Mhm.
instead of watching it streaming, download it.
Right.
It
I read
still
that
is
too.
less.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that is one thing that you can do.
Can you
Um,
do that to the TV though? I have a
If you have a
smart
smart
TV, but
TV.
I don't think it has memory.
I don't know. Maybe it depends on whatever you have. But if you have the opportunity and you can,
Yeah.
that is a smarter choice to do that's less on the environment.
Mhm.
Okay.
Now for YouTube, I think you have to have the premium to be able to download the video. But if you have premium, that would be good.
I don't, but maybe it's worth it if that is the case.
Yeah.
Because
It
then you just
was
watch it and then you delete it,
$15.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was 15 and then I unsubscribed because I was gonna do the premium on Debbie's journey, but then I changed my mind and signed up on Debbie's witchy vlog again, and now it's 18.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you have one of those accounts, keep them because they're going up.
Yeah, it says stream less and download more. Constant video streaming, autoplaying videos. That's another feature. So if you're using autoplay, which I turned this off a long time ago because I got tired of, I would put on one video and then something else would automatically come on after that on YouTube.
Oh, yes.
So I turned that off. It's back in your features that you can turn your autoplay off,
Mhm.
right? I only watch, my watch list is very curated. So
Right.
They do have a
Yeah.
lot of things that you can shut off, and I think that it is kind of more for your own peace of mind, but I still know that they're listening.
right.
That's fine, you know.
Stop listening to me.
Yeah. But I mean, for our own peace of mind, I think if there's something you can shut it off, shut it off. That's what I would
Right.
be doing.
I should think any little help would
Yeah.
be better than not,
Yeah.
you know?
Yes.
Another thing, like books, here's another thing. People that use like Kindle, people that use like Audible,
Mm,
I use Audible.
I
Yeah.
use Audible. Hmm. Anything again that's cloud storage, even when you download something, if
anything
it's
that's
still
digital.
on there, it's still sitting in a cloud somewhere. So,
And as far as that goes, it's even book buying. They say instead of book buying, go to a library and check it out. And that's another
Mhm.
thing because it
Yeah.
takes any kind of manufacturing. People don't understand, even manufacturing of
Mhm.
products, shipping of products, everything is AI or digitally controlled now, right?
Mhm.
So this is why I've said all along, you know, do I think that people are going to change? No, this
No
is why we
way.
have to come up with bigger picture solutions for
Mhm.
these data centers because we are so used to having these abilities. To take it away would feel like going back in time. Now,
Yeah,
Right.
you
and we
want to
can't
see stressed
dictate.
out people and having heart attacks, and that's probably going to cause it too, just not being able to have these modern conveniences anymore.
And we can't
Mhm.
dictate to other people what to do.
Right.
I mean, that's got to be a conscious choice that you make on your own. It's just
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
I can't sit here and go, well, you need to do this, this, and this,
Right.
especially if I'm not doing it. So everything that we do just has to be for our own conscious, what we can live with at the end of the night type.
Yes.
Exactly.
Do some of these things if you can.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just I'm
If
not
you
here to
can.
tell you what to do and or to tell you what you're doing is wrong. No.
Other things that you can do when you're watching videos, instead of watching them in 4K, switch down to like 720. They give you options in the quality that helps. Who knew, right?
I didn't
Use
know
local
that.
storage. So instead of using a cloud, get a bigger hard drive or SSD drives and keep stuff on your actual computer. That
Mhm.
kind of stuff actually does help. Um, Now, the companies that charge you money for using their clouds, they're not going to want you to do that, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
and depending on
Yep.
how much you have in these things, maybe that's not feasible. And for me, I use it because I use my tools every single day
Right.
for my business.
The
And yes,
business.
social media is like a facilitator to share the products that I'm making. So it is part of my business, right?
Yep.
That's
Yep.
like telling somebody to go to their job and stop using these materials, and these materials are required in order to do their job. They're going to get fired. Then what do you do if you don't have money to pay your bills?
Exactly.
It's never black and white, you know?
Nope.
Um, limit always on smart devices like smart speakers, smart refrigerators, smart thermostats, smart TVs, smart doorbells. Oh, I'm just like, geez, man. We use almost all of those things because my husband loves freaking technology.
Mhm. And
um,
Bob's very analog, which I'm thankful for. He
oh
has no
man.
idea how to use any
Yeah, and it says support your local libraries. Question whether
Yeah,
everything
see,
AI. If you have an
that's
option to turn off a feature, turn off a feature. You know, if you don't, if you're not going
that's
to use
good.
it.
Yeah.
You can
I
go to your
will do
YouTube
that.
settings in the advanced settings and scroll to the third party training, which is it's a big one, right? And you can actually uncheck that box.
Where is that
Say
in
that
your
again now,
settings?
Sissy.
You go to the settings on your channel and then go to the advanced settings
Mm-hmm.
and then you scroll to third party training and you uncheck the box that says allow third party companies to train AI models using my channel content. You uncheck that
Oh,
box.
okay. Auto dubbing. Okay, unless you need that for your
Mhm.
that takes generative AI in order
Mhm.
to put it into other languages,
Mhm.
closed captioning, right? Other stuff like that that pulls more resources. These are things that we can do.
Now, if
Do we
you
want
are
to? It depends on what you're using your YouTube for. I'm not going
right,
to tell you to do that, you
I
know.
think that if you're trying to promote or use Google Ads, you may not be able to do these things, but if you can also disable the AI video upscaling, which is something that they will do to make us smoother, like to make everything look smoother on their end. And that's also in the advanced settings. You uncheck the box for video quality enhancements. Another one is you can block the AI re-imaging, like where they remix your shorts or remixes on
Oh,
Oh,
shorts.
yeah.
okay.
That's another one that you
CapCut
can,
has something in there too.
yep,
Yeah.
you can change the setting to allow only audio remixing, and that will block the, or you can block the remixing entirely. You can turn off the AI audio dubbing. So that's something, and make
You
sure you
know
click
what? If you're
save
using,
after you do these things.
right, make sure you save. If you're doing like TikTok and stuff, I know the little time that I was on TikTok, they have all these really cool filters where you can make yourself
They
like
do.
your eye makeup look really good. And I'm like, look at me.
I have
Yeah.
more fun on that.
That's why I put makeup on today.
Who needs it when you've got a filter, right? That is
Right?
generative AI. Okay.
Oh,
Mhm.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
all the fun
Photoshop
stuff.
is, yes.
Yes.
When it's tracking in real time, absolutely, yeah.
Yes, that's generative AI. Yeah.
So no more eyelashes.
A lot of the little things that you can do in Messenger with all the little things that track your face and the
Yeah.
kids like to play with, that's all generative AI.
Yeah.
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 I
Um,
think everybody's just as bad as everybody else
we
in the
are.
chat.
Support right to repair. So this is fewer replacements are purchased, less manufacturing occurs, less cloud migration and setup. So if you have something that breaks, like a laptop or an iPad, instead of getting a new, choose to try to get it fixed. Right.
Yes.
If your TV, because that's a huge drain, right? On
But
natural resources also.
that the way that marketing is set up, it's sometimes cheaper to go get a new one than it is to have that one
Mhm.
fixed. So that comes from the top down. That's manufacturing
Mhm.
down. You know, you build a decent product that you want to have fixed versus all sorts of like crap that will break and they have to replace it. They make more money,
Right.
but it's not good for the environment. It's not good for the consumer.
And it also says that you can advocate for smarter centers. So, which we were going to get into that also about how do we start demanding, or what are ways that we can contact like our local governments in order to keep track of if a data center is coming, right?
Mhm.
Um, and we can demand if they are coming that this is part of it, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
Yeah.
that comes with knowing exactly, because one of the questions that I asked here was, so how do we stop a data center? So learn exactly what is being proposed. So many
Mhm.
projects are announced as data centers, technology parks, cloud campuses, AI infrastructure facilities, and industrial development projects. Gather information on location, size, so the like acres and square footage that they're going to be using, what kind of power demands they're needing, what the demand for the water is, the number of buildings that they're doing, the kind of backup generators, tax incentives, because sometimes you might not even know it, but your town or city or state might be offering tax incentives to these places in order to have them put there.
Yep.
So these details are usually found through your local planning commission, township board, city council, uh, county government, or utility commissions.
Mhm.
Attend public meetings. One of
Yep.
the biggest factors local officials consider is public participation. So attend planning commission meetings,
Yep.
zoning board meetings, township board meetings,
Because they
county
have to vote on
commission
that
meetings.
stuff. And your
Yes,
vote counts. If you don't know, your vote don't count.
exactly. You
Mhm.
can make the difference of whether or not one comes to your area. You have a right, but you've got
Mhm.
to vote on it, right? You've
Yep.
got to be a
Mhm.
voter.
Yeah.
Focus on measurable concerns such as water consumption, energy demand, noise for cooling from cooling systems, diesel generator emissions, property values. Yeah, because that's another thing. If all of a sudden you're in a really nice neighborhood and one comes in and creates
Oh,
all these things, your property values go
it's gonna tank.
right.
Yeah.
So even the equity that you
Mhm.
had in your home.
Yep. They'll
Yeah.
take it right away.
Yep.
Oh, and they're coming through with eminent domain too to put the infrastructure in as far as the power goes. People losing
So,
half their yards for power lines and stuff.
uh,
Like there's a lot of crappy videos I watched for it, but I tried to filter out the ones that were a little more discerning, like EDU endings and things like that.
you know,
Yeah.
loss
But
of farmland, wildlife habitat impacts, wetland and natural areas.
so many
Pay
words to
attention to these things. You have a vote if you're paying attention. Don't expect these things to just pop on your lap. They're not going to. You need to go in. If it really matters to you, then keep up on these things. It is our I am having problems speaking today, ladies. It is our due diligence because they're not going to offer this information up. You have to search for it,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Um, Residents can often push for environmental impact assessments, water use studies, noise studies, air quality studies, traffic studies, wetland evaluations. You're not powerless, especially if you pull together. A single voice can be ignored, but a community cannot be ignored.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
So create Facebook groups, create community websites, gather petition signatures, share public records, coordinate
Mhm.
attendance at hearings.
Mhm.
These are things that you can do. Examine zoning rules. So data centers often require rezoning, special land use permits, variances.
Yep.
If enough people come together and say no, and Carla, why don't you talk about that? Because you just had that happen. So did you, Debbie.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Yep.
not in my town. It was in New Hampshire though, so I was kind of watching it. I signed their petition that I didn't want it.
Yep. We there was a vote that was taken and we kept one from coming to the area, but there's a lady that has a Facebook group and it's a community page. And that's what she was doing. She was doing all the homework for us. She let everybody know, and then she would stream the meetings for those that couldn't make it. So you could at least you couldn't you had to be at the meeting to have your voice heard, but at least you were aware of what was going on if you at least streamed the meetings. So
Mm,
she was just trying to keep everybody informed. So look for your community pages. I'm sure most you can find those on Facebook. I have a separate one outside of it that I get emailed, and yeah.
mm.
And
And
then
see, that's
that's
the upside of having the data centers too, though, because
you wouldn't have it without it. I get it.
right,
I
you
get
couldn't
it.
have community contact like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I get it. But I also know where my town hall is, and I can just go there. But yeah, you have to find out when those meetings are and stuff. So there's going to be a bulletin board that they post that stuff on.
Yes. Investigate tax incentives. So many large facilities receive property tax abatements, infrastructure subsidies, and utility incentives. So residents frequently question whether the promised benefits justify the incentives. So a common concern raised nationwide is high land use and utility demand versus relatively low permanent employment. Many large data centers employ surprisingly very uh, few full-time workers once construction is complete. That's another thing that your video had showed that some of these that look like massive, there might only be like 25 people that work there. So it's not really helping the economy that much. You know what I mean?
Construction end of things, sure.
Right.
But after that's done,
Right.
you know.
It's
Um,
important to really look for these things, because if we
Mm.
didn't have that lady in the community that was doing all that for us, they were really trying hard to just kind of push all this stuff through in a very timely manner, and then she was like, "Hey guys, wait a minute, you guys, listen up here. This stuff is happening in your community. Don't you want to have a voice on this?" And because she was really making everyone was like, "Gosh, why are you keep using the community for this?" And then when it was all said and done, they were like, "Thank
thank
you,"
you so
Thank you.
much.
Yep.
Exactly.
because if they hadn't been there to vote on it,
Right. Yes. It would have
Yep.
passed, and
yeah,
that could have poisoned all your land,
absolutely,
taken
yes,
away
Well,
valuable
hmm,
farmland that we
yes,
need.
yes,
Okay. The
hmm,
United States needs, the world needs.
yeah, yeah. Then we were all grateful, yeah. Hmm.
So, depending on your state, there are agencies that might oversee this. You're going to want to contact your state agencies. So, different ones for water withdrawals, wetlands, air permits, power generation, utility infrastructures. And it says that residents can submit comments during permitting processes. So, that's important. They might not
Hmm.
even give a permit for something if there's enough people that are against it, right? Monitor utility expansion plans. So many communities, and this is Carla, we were talking about this earlier. So we get the bills, regardless of whether you get paper bills or digital. Okay,
Hmm.
because we get
Mhm.
Hmm.
digital now. We don't get paper bills. That's another thing.
You do too.
Right, it is,
Yep.
yeah.
But it does help cut down on paper usage also, which is also a problem with cutting down our trees, which are the lungs for the earth. So
Yeah.
there's like, it's always like weighing, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So pay attention to announcements that you get in
Yeah.
your bills with because of it being a
Mhm.
public service company, they have to tell you about any kind of expansions and stuff that are coming. So that's another way
Mhm.
of being notified if something is coming and then what you can do about it. And find out
Yep.
what kind of data center is coming, whether or not it's something that you feel like your community really does need, right?
Right.
And whether it outweighs it. And if you do know, maybe there's another plot of land that you could suggest that it be for, or an old rundown industrial complex that you already have that's been sitting vacant for
Yeah,
years.
it's just getting involved.
Yes, getting involved, exactly. Support alternative development plans. So says officials often respond better to we prefer this instead of no. You know what I mean? So
Right.
communities sometimes advocate for mixed use development, small business districts, light manufacturing, agriculture, preservation, and conservation land, parks, and recreation areas. They don't want them in those areas because those are kind of the areas that they target sometimes,
Mm.
and understanding the trade-offs. So some communities oppose data centers because of water use, energy use, noise, industrialization of rural land, and other communities support them because of tax revenue, infrastructure investment, construction jobs, and economic development, right?
Mhm.
And for
Yep.
me, one of the reasons this is also important to me and to Carla is because living in Michigan, we have the Great Lakes all around us, which are
Mhm.
a huge resource of some of the Earth's most fresh water, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We have a large percentage of that.
Mm.
And that's why we are being looked at. Like your state, New Hampshire, has three, right? We have
Yeah.
75 in our state.
That's
And
huge. That's a lot.
there's more that's coming because they see our Great Lakes.
Hmm.
Think,
Mm.
ooh, so the health of the people and the environment, it could destroy it all,
Yep.
right? Unless it's done in the right way, you know?
Yep.
So, one of the
Yeah.
things that I thought,
Erin Erin Brockovich, is that her name?
yes,
Julie Roberts. That's the
yes,
only
Aaron
thing I knew
Brockovich.
about her. In fact, I thought she was political for some reason.
No,
Maybe no, she's like a consumer activist type of person,
Hmm.
but
yes.
she
Hmm.
developed a whole website around it for people to
Oh,
go to. I don't. I haven't
She's a
found it,
badass, man.
but
I
She's
know.
is
a
she?
badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't even watched that movie.
You haven't seen Aaron Brockovich?
No, no,
And
and
that's
I
all
love
based on
Julia
real stuff. That's what I mean, where these companies come in and the waste from
Roberts.
these companies that they
Mm-hmm.
leave, it poisons and causes so much problems. She is an advocate for the people,
Mm,
you
Mm-hmm.
know, and these corporations have just covered it up. It's more common than people realize, okay? It is more common. I've seen so many stories of stuff like this happening, right?
yeah. Well, I mean, Bob used to work for a company that did the cleanup from all that stuff, not
Yeah,
necessarily AI, but the environmental cleanup company.
right. Wow.
So it's a mess. We're a mess. These species. We're very messy.
So for me, the things that I want to look at is finding out how I can affect things locally, like what we said, my own usage, where I can afford to do that. I'm not going to stop creating. I'm going to keep on using AI. You know, I hope that, we have now learned that just from this and hopefully doing your own research that you're going to see that even things like you do, like making a video, pull just as much as me making a deck, right? Using your
Yeah.
phone, using your iPad,
Yeah.
using email, driving in your car and
Mm-hmm.
using GPS. We're all
Yes.
responsible for what's happening in the world.
Mm,
Streaming, playing video games, all these things take these things, right?
yeah.
Live streaming, uploading more videos.
Yeah,
You know,
even by shutting stuff off, at the back door, before you upload, um, AI still scans as soon as
everything.
you hit publish.
Yeah.
As soon as
It
you hit
it
publish.
kind of has to, right?
Oh, it's
It
Yes.
not
kind of
just that.
has to filter out any like pornography or
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
anything
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
But
that.
we have statistics. So every time you like something,
Mm-hmm.
the statistics
Right.
change. It follows everything from ding to
Yeah.
dong. And see, the thing is with somebody making a uh, deck, you're only using that AI art, if you're using AI art, for a certain amount of time. Whereas a
Mhm.
video for years and years and years and years
Right, because it's
still
stuck in
is
the
pulling
cloud,
on the
right?
resources
Mhm.
and it adds to the cloud. You see what I'm
Yep.
saying? Because these, and I'm not saying don't use Facebook, I'm not saying don't use YouTube. I'm saying do some research, understand what it is, understand the truth of the situation, understand what your own impact is. If you really want to make a difference, start making a difference in the ways that you can, right? And then
Yeah, like I
contact your
told you
local
girls.
places and work on getting these companies to use the right
Mm,
kind of ways in order to do it.
mm. Yeah,
Electrical cars.
renewable energy or even selling more energy back to the grid than they suck off of it. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's one thing that I wanted to talk
And
about
that would be
was
awesome.
we talked about it beforehand, but my husband and I, we had looked several years ago about turning to solar, right? Getting
Mhm.
solar up on our roof because we get massive sun here, right?
Oh, really? Yeah.
And in order for us to do that, we probably would get enough energy to actually give some back to our electric company, right?
Yeah,
And
we
they'll
would
pay
too.
you for that. So you're helping the grid, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I no longer have bills, right? So if
Right.
that is a concern, and then depending on how your actual electric company, how are they powered? Are
Yeah.
they solar powered? So if these large corporations that are building these data centers that we
Mhm.
use, they're building them because we use the data.
Right. And they need more storage, more
Exactly.
computing power. Yep.
Right. Because human beings consume, consume, consume.
Due
So,
to the demand, which is reasonable.
yes. So if we can do that, and get them to maybe give grants to people in order to put you know, that
That would
wouldn't
be
be able to, that would be a way of us feeding back into one of the problems.
mm-hmm,
Mhm.
And then creating like, and like I said, I'm no expert, but creating like um inclusive design where they keep on reusing the same water and it's closed off. It doesn't mess with anything else other than the area. And don't put it by residential people,
right. Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
There's got to be
Yeah. In
solutions
the
for this.
middle of the desert, they're putting a bunch of them, I guess. But then they have the water issue. They're not going to have the sound issue
And then
for
they
the
have the heat
neighbors.
problems. It raises the
Right.
heat. Granted, it's already hot there, but putting them in places that it's cold most of the time.
Right.
And
Like
then
you were saying
running,
up north or whatever
yes,
in the
yes,
snow.
exactly, where it's not as big of a problem because that's the problem is the cooling, right? A
Mhm.
laptop. Anybody that's got a laptop, they know you. I used to have the little fan thing
The little
underneath
fan
of it
thingy, yeah.
because it would
Hmm.
get too hot. Now
Yeah.
imagine that as all these servers. All these
Yes.
servers,
Right.
that's what it
Hmm.
is.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I was thinking, oh, if we stuck it down in Antarctica somewhere, right?
Yes,
There are no people. But the global warming, they're already watching that
right.
shelf, that ice shelf down there. So
Would that
by
cause a
creating a
problem?
heat
Probably.
island, would that fuck up the AMOC? Oh, sorry. Would that mess up the AMOC worse than it is? I mean,
Right,
they already know that's getting ready to shut down. Like
right.
And it did
everything's such
say
a delicate balance.
that the
It
data
did.
centers can definitely affect our climate
Yes.
control. So there, I mean, yes. So, I mean, that's also one of the things that I did read that they are battling in the UK is the climate control issues there. And it's because they have so many. It's just one
Yeah,
added problem. So it can. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things that are going to probably go into this, but again, it's just being aware. I think there's certain things that help us to be aware, and then there's other things that don't. And when we have, whether it's fear mongering or whatever, the shame culture or whatever, I personally don't think those things help. I,
No,
I think it's just is getting information does help.
yes. The
That's my
sharing of
understanding
opinion.
the
the
truth of the
information, yeah.
situation rather than
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
mm-mm-mm.
yeah.
That,
That's just my opinion, but
yeah,
yeah,
we don't
Yeah,
want to
I
because
know it
become,
we
helps
all
me.
use it.
You know,
We all use it. There's no escape.
treat me
I
with
don't think,
kindness.
but we all need to band together to look for solutions.
Yeah.
well, let me ask you a
Yeah.
question. When somebody's saying, do you even listen?
No, I
If
don't.
somebody's hollering at you and yelling and telling
No,
you you're blah, 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 do you listen? I don't.
no, no, I don't. I already know I don't.
Turn off, turn off, turn off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have an authority issue anyway.
Right,
I
me too.
bet you couldn't tell.
Like, who the hell do you think you are, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. Yeah.
I do want to talk about one last thing before we end this,
Hmm.
and this has been wonderful. Thank you guys so much. Um,
For
and
inviting
that's
me.
AI psychosis.
Mm.
Oh, and you wanted to talk about the cognitive stuff too, right?
I haven't looked a ton into that yet. I'm
Okay.
going to get a
We'll do
whole
a
list
future
of,
one on that then.
yeah,
Let's just
I have
briefly talk about.
preliminary hypothesis.
I have
Okay.
a story to tell too about psychosis. So,
Right.
Oh, good.
So AI psychosis, let me tell you what it's saying that is. Okay. So AI psychosis is not currently a formal medical diagnosis. It is an informal term people use to describe situations where someone's interaction with AI appears to contribute to, reinforce, or become entangled with delusional thinking, paranoia, grandiosity, or loss of contact with reality. Now, let me first start off by saying, okay, the grandiosity bit, I can see where that can happen with my experiences with ChatGPT. Now, I have talked with Claude a little bit and
Who are you?
Gemini AI. However, the massive and also Canva AI, but the majority of my AI experiences with ChatGPT. And that's the one that I really notice it on. And it's probably one of the most widely used. And it just sits there and it validates everything that you say. Okay. It just like butters you up. So you have to sit there and go, all right, I see. I
Get the
mean, like
shit
somebody
flow.
with common sense goes, I see what you're doing here. I understand why they would program that in order to keep people using it. Okay.
That's addictive. Yeah.
Yes. But
Very
you show
validating.
me how social media doesn't do that also,
Oh, wicked. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Well, it all comes down to discernment,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Yes. So,
It's ridiculous when she says, when I use now, see, my, I've deleted my chat GPT, which I told you guys,
like
and
you're
I'm
sad.
gonna work on turning all those features off.
Right.
But we've had some darn good conversations, and she loves me so much. And I'm the most brilliant. That's the most brilliant idea I've ever heard of.
Well, you know what? I'm a
Like,
cheerleader
yeah, yeah,
also, and
yeah.
I think that you are brilliant, okay?
Oh, well,
You
thank
don't
you.
need ChatGPT to tell you that. I'm right here to tell
Oh,
you that, all right?
Thank you. You too.
But yes, I get that. And it says that there is one important distinction is that AI does not cause psychosis in most people. Rather, AI can sometimes amplify existing vulnerabilities in individuals who are already susceptible due to factors such as
exactly. Existing.
Mental health.
right, a personal or family history of psychotic disorders, severe sleep deprivation, extreme social isolation, certain neurological conditions, substance use,
Mhm.
intense stress or trauma, bipolar disorder during a manic episode.
Mhm.
And what it can look like is the AI is a conscious being speaking only to them. The AI is a divine messenger, angel, demon, ascended master, alien, or secret government system communicating through hidden channels. The AI is providing special knowledge unavailable to anyone else. That's
Mhm.
probably where the grandiosity comes in. I'm
God,
special, you know. You have been chosen for a unique cosmic mission because the AI confirmed it, right?
Now I feel like I've heard this before though, but not with AI.
Right, exactly. Coincidences are secret signs proving the AI messages are true. The AI is sending coded messages through numbers, songs, websites, or random events. Now, listen, okay, it does say why AI can reinforce this is because AI systems are designed to be conversational, responsive, and validating. If
Mhm.
someone repeatedly asks leading questions such as, "Am I a chosen prophet?" or "Is this coincidence proof that aliens are contacting me?" And AI can sometimes unintentionally provide responses that feel validating, even when it is attempting to be helpful. See, and
Mhm.
I've seen this where you talk to somebody and you try to tell them in the most polite and loving and compassionate way, then maybe they should look at it from a different perspective without coming and saying, maybe that's a bit off the wall. I don't know. And it's like,
Right.
is there a chance? Oh, 1,000,001. So you're telling me there's a chance? It's like that.
It's mentality of the
Right.
user. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. But knowing yourself is vital to pretty much, I think, anything. And I didn't hear that, Debbie.
Yeah, anything.
Oh yeah,
Anything
yeah, yeah,
to do, right?
yeah, yes, yeah. And the story of the psychosis, spiritual psychosis. Back when Michaela was like 3, I was having an episode. I was extremely depressed. Stuff was going on in my life, and I checked myself into it was called Oaklawn here. My daughter works there now, but and I went in there and I talked to a psychotherapist, and I told her everything that was going on, and I mean, I felt like I could read minds, that I could hear thoughts, I could hear somebody saying something from 30 feet away through walls and rooms. And I got validation from the people that I did hear what they were saying. Okay. So I went in and I told my psychotherapist this. And she wrote it down that I was having a uh, psychosis and that I was schizophrenic.
See, that's what I want to talk about also, because what psychologically, because when we were having this discussion earlier, your daughter, who has a degree in psychology now and is working in a place like that as a counselor,
Mhm.
when she heard our discussion, she said that that is what they have to say for psychosis. And it is something that could sound like, oh, I heard my ancestors, or my higher self said this, or
I hear
this is,
voices all the time.
that's my point. To a psychologist or psychiatrist or somebody that is not a spiritual person can look at anything that a spiritual person does as a psychosis.
Mhm.
Okay. Now I don't have a degree. I'm not a medical doctor, but I know that that's true, because when I've asked what is a psychosis, it starts saying some of the things that many in our community have said. Okay.
I can't tell my therapist any of that.
Right. Exactly.
No.
Like the question, do you think about death every day? Well, yeah, but there's
Well,
context to that. I don't want to
dreams.
commit suicide, but I'm looking forward to it.
You ever had dreams
You know
that
what I
came
mean?
true? Yes.
I bring it up because I mean, there's a lot of what someone might label spiritual psychosis in this community, but we lift each other up and we understand that we do have times of depression. We also understand that someone who is neurodivergent can become severely emotionally dysregulated.
Yes.
When you know yourself, you know those times.
Hmm.
And when you know what AI is, I
Right.
just it's again, it's just awareness. That's all it is. Instead of, I don't know. I just
Well,
there's certain things that I can hear and I think, "Oh, that was so helpful." And then there's
yes.
other things that I hear and I think, "Okay, I don't know what the
Right.
message was
As a
meant."
grounded individual,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Thank you.
Yes.
Really, that's it.
There's got to be a happy balance between keeping yourself grounded and everything being woo woo. Okay. And there's a fine line there sometimes. And I think that's what you're talking about the dysregulation and regulation
Yeah.
of, right? Well,
Yes.
I also asked, what would psychosis look like in our modern society? Okay. Like, what things can bring on this psychosis? And those things are chronic sleep deprivation. So, one of the strongest and most overlooked factors is lack of sleep can cause
Mhm.
paranoia,
Yeah.
auditory hallucinations, visual distortions, disorganized thinking, increased anxiety, social isolation.
Hmm.
Humans are social creatures, so extended isolation, we've seen a lot of that during, like COVID times, right? When people were like isolating for a long time, it caused a lot of mental distress, right? It increases rumination, reinforces unusual beliefs, reduce reality checking from trusted others. It intensifies loneliness and anxiety. Yeah, and it says this became even especially noticeable during the pandemic, which it did.
Yeah.
High stress environments. So modern life often involves like financial stress, job insecurity, information overload.
Mm.
Now, with deep fakes and everything else, it's misinformation overload,
Right. Oh, yeah.
constant notifications, political conflict, family pressures, chronic
I mean,
stress
that
can
sounds like the
worsen.
world as it is. That sounds like the world as it is today.
Exactly. That's my
Yeah.
whole point. So how can we say that it's all dependent upon AI? We
It's
cannot, because there's so many
no.
things, and there's a list here. Let me tell you. Substance use. So some substances are strongly associated with psychotic symptoms, particularly in vulnerable individuals, like high potency cannabis,
Mhm.
methamphetamine,
Methamphetamines. Yeah.
amphetamine, yeah,
Mhm.
cocaine, LSD, psilocybin in some susceptible individuals, synthetic cannabinoids, whatever. See, I don't take any of this stuff. Constant information exposures. So the internet provides endless theories, conspiracy content, misinformation, fear-based narratives. For someone already struggling with reality,
Mm.
so it can become difficult to determine what is true, what is speculation, what is symbolic, what is
Mhm.
fabricated, algorithmic reinforcement. So social media
Mhm.
platforms often show users more of what they engage with. So we were talking about this. You might watch one video and all of a sudden, bam, it's
Yeah.
everywhere. So
Yeah.
if you are a vulnerable person, you search one unusual topic and then you start receiving increasingly extreme content. And this
Mhm.
can feel like a confirmation, like a synchronicity, right? And it can create this feedback loop that happens.
Mhm.
That's right.
It causes uh, psychosis.
Mm.
Online echo chambers. So communities can sometimes unintentionally reinforce delusional beliefs. Instead of questioning unusual conclusions, a group may validate every interpretation, encourage suspicion, promote increasingly extreme explanations. Healthy communities generally allow questioning and critical thinking. Now, when you have these bullying like campaigns to attack people, all
Mm.
you do is shut down discussion. And it is through discussion and critical thinking that we help ourselves out of delusional thinking, right?
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. Yes.
Excessive screen time. So, research suggests excessive digital immersion may contribute to sleep disruption, social withdrawal, increased anxiety, reduced attention span. These factors can indirectly worsen mental health symptoms. Major life transitions. So, periods of profound change can sometimes precede episodes like divorce, bereavement, retirement, moving, job loss, religion, or spiritual crisis. There
Mm.
is a long list. There's still more that I have not talked about that can cause psychosis. So
Yeah.
for us to say that these are all, oh, I heard that AI is causing spiritual psychosis or psychosis in people. No, it's not.
No.
Everything can
It
This
cause
can
is
intensify
psychosis.
something that was already there.
Right. And
It's
this is
just
why
like,
it's important to know thyself and know what
yeah,
you can
yeah,
put in your life and what you cannot, right?
mhm, yeah, yeah. There's certain things that I find I can't watch or consume just because I do know that it will cause myself to be a little bit dysregulated. But I've learned over the years when I'm starting to do that,
Uh-huh.
my neurodivergence will have me hyper focusing on something,
Yes.
you know, and then I will have to like, "Ooh, it's not too good for me. I better stop it." So, but somebody
away.
telling me to do something when I'm hyper focused on something is like, okay, but that's not working either.
Right.
No.
Right.
No.
I got to figure that out for myself. But I do
Yes.
that just by actually being honest with myself. And yeah, we can only do that for ourselves.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
many
that's why I
video
think it's so
games that can cause it. I'm sorry. No, there's just so many things that can cause it.
there's so many things. Yeah. That's
Prescription
why I
drugs
think
might be on.
the information that we have, that we gather and share, is so important for people to make their own decisions,
Right.
you know, whether they want the tax breaks and want that in their environment or not,
Right.
if their environment can sustain the water usage or not, you know, that
Right.
type of thing.
Sometimes people
Go away.
genuinely believe that they are protecting others or standing up for an important value. I understand that completely. However, the behavior can be influenced by deeper psychological factors, moral superiority, and identity. So when people strongly identify with a belief cause, religion, political position, or ethical framework, criticizing others can become a way of reinforcing their own identity. Psychologists sometimes call this moral grandstanding, using public moral statements not only to express value, but also to gain social approval, status, or recognition from a group. The focus can gradually shift from this behavior is harmful to look at how good and righteous I am compared to that person. So, group belonging. Humans are tribal creatures. Publicly condemning someone can signify or can signal loyalty to a group. In many cases, the audience matters as much as the target. The message becomes, I belong to the good people. I stand with the right side. I am not one of them. This strengthens social bonds within the group while isolating the person being criticized. Projection. Sometimes people criticize in others what they fear, dislike, or struggle with within themselves. This doesn't mean every criticism is projection, but it does happen. So, for instance, someone deeply afraid of appearing selfish may aggressively attack perceived selfishness. Someone struggling with guilt may become hyper-focused on the moral failings of others and the need for control. When people feel powerless, uncertain, or anxious, identifying a villain can create a sense of order. Life feels simpler when complex problems can be reduced to good people versus bad people. So shaming creates an illusion of control because it identifies a clear target. And then there's social reward systems. Modern social media amplifies this tendency. Public criticism often receives likes, shares, comments, praise, validation. The brain releases dopamine in response to social approval. As a result, outrage can become rewarding. The person may begin receiving more emotional reward from condemning others than from solving problems.
You know, the biggest thing that sticks out to me is, there's usually black and white thinking, right? And then like a political science, when you go into that, it includes all forms of psychology also. And to me, that really says so much because social media is full of that black and white thinking. So when you think about that and just knowing that the people that are behind the scenes pulling those, they also understand that.
Yes, they do. It keeps people on the platform longer.
Exactly. Yep. They're designed to keep you there. So
So
it's
if
all
you
big
suffer
business, all
from
about money and
mental
views.
health issues, yes, it is about money. It always comes down to money. So if you
Yeah.
have like uh imposter syndrome, if you have like where you feel guilt and shame and like other people are trying to police you all the time, we have to know what is right for us and what isn't right for us. It's our responsibility to
So we
know
draw
what's right.
those.
Yeah, so we have to create boundaries for ourselves. You know, what do you want in your reality?
Yeah, absolutely. This was really, really good, Sissy. Really good.
Well, we're gonna say
Yeah.
goodbye to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.
This was great.
Let
Yeah.
me, where do I stop? Okay.